IPBC Asia 2015, it's all about intellectual property, but let's take it down a notch and leave the courtroom behind for a minute and focus on what's going on in the boardroom. Many companies' IP is tied up in their brand, and if you don't own the domain name, the URL that matches your company's brand, chances are you'll be struggling communicating with your customers. Well, that's where our next guest comes in. Here's Tobias Flaitz, Chief Executive of German company Sedo, S-E-D-O, which helps companies reclaim, I suppose, their domains if they don't own it at the moment. First of all, give us an overview of what your business does, Tobias.
Well, our business is headquartered in Cologne, Germany, as you said, actually, and we have an office in Boston so that we can serve the US market very well. Our business is the bringing together of sellers, which is the owner of a domain name, and buyers. We have a marketplace with more than 19 million domain names in the inventory. And besides that, we are having a service that is provided to companies that are searching for certain domain names that is not ready to be registered. So it means either it's registered or it's reserved by registry. It can be both. And we are actually offering the service to search for the owner, get in touch with him, and make him a seller, actually, to the benefit of the buyer.
So in the first instance, are you a cyber squatter?
No, we're not, actually. We're not owning any single domain name. So we are only a marketplace facilitating independently the interaction of trading of domain names. And we're acting globally. We have 150 people working for us and serving in 25 native-speaking languages. So that's why we're actually in Germany, actually headquartered, and not in the US, because that makes it way easier to serve all the ends in Europe and Asia as well.
Okay, when we talk about domain names, that's possibly not the sort of things that the sort of people behind you here usually talk about. They talk about litigation and defending very large IP portfolios.
Yes.
Your business, I suppose, is at the other end of the scale. So what brings you to this conference, and what sort of business are you looking to do in the Asia Pacific?
Well, all the people that are visiting and attending this conference here, the IPBC in Asia, should be aware of the market that we are serving, because if it's about intellectual property, then it should be, as you mentioned in the statement, it should be around domain names as well. And you can do a lot previously or in the process of filing intellectual property. If you are not, or if you're not certain in that phase in what market you're serving your products, services, whatsoever, it might be later on possible to get the domain names that you're needing. Then we come into place, because all the good domain names usually are gone and taken by someone, registered by someone, not in a bad purpose mainly. It can be someone around the corner, basically, like you and I, that are registered a name a couple of years back, and then all of a sudden it becomes a trademark somewhere in the world, and that company owning that trademark, intellectual property, should be owning the domain names, but they don't know how to access and find that person. That's one thing. And then B, of course, they don't know much about, because it's not their primary business, how they should do the deal with that person that is owning the domain name. So that's why we do offer our services.
And how is business in the Asia Pacific?
It is growing. Our biggest markets are in the US, of course, and then followed by UK, Germany, and other countries in Europe. But Asia is, in the last 5 years, the fast growing geography for us. Within Asia, China, of course, has become the fastest growing market. Korea is already, for a couple of years, a very important market for us. And Japan, as we are here right now, is a small market for us, but it's growing as well. Not as fast as China right now, but it's growing. So this geography here is very important for us in terms of growth. Yes. Well, there's two trends, let's say. There's the legacy TLDs like .com, .net, .org, and others. The CC TLDs as well, like .de, .at, .us. That are actually limited in terms of availability. The good names are taken, and just for the reason that you were mentioning, this place or this namespace is limited, and you would not be able to search for really good domain names in this TLD area. But of course, there's new TLDs coming into the market for about 18 months now. We have seen about 400 already in the market, and there will be more than 500 coming into the market in the next probably 1 to 2 years.
But .com is still ground zero, isn't it? Isn't that still the one that you have to have?
It's still the one that you should have. I don't know if it will be like that in the future, in the further away future. In the next 5 years, nothing will change, nothing significantly. We've seen from last year to this year, we have seen a price increase for .coms of 30%. So that tells about the demand and the availability and the supply. supply is limited, demand has increased. So everyone else in the world is thinking the same. .com is the one that you should have. And it's probably the case. It will not be a replacement for, or the new GTLDs will not be a replacement for .com. It will be an addition, because the new GTLDs are aiming for verticals and geographies. And if you combine it with your .com, the universal domain name, then it's the perfect way to secure A, your intellectual property, and B, make sure that you offer your services and products in a meaningful way by a memorable domain name.
Cyber squatters remind me a little bit of the trolls, the patent trolls. They don't exist to create value, they just they exist in order to create money for themselves.
Yes. Yeah.
How big a problem is cyber squatting these days, and are you able to actually combat that with CEDO?
There's two things actually. In the past, cyber squatting has been a really big issue with .com and the legacy TLDs. With the new TLDs coming into the market, ICANN, the organization that is handling it all, has invented the trademark clearinghouse. So everyone that is owning a trademark and can actually show it officially to the ICANN is able to register this trademark in the trademark clearinghouse. So whenever a new TLD comes into the market in a sunrise phase, as it's called, the trademark owner can claim his or her own trademark to make sure no one else, in terms of cyber squatting, can access and register the domain name. So that should be helping actually the companies to secure their domain name. Nevertheless, the awareness about the existence of the trademark clearinghouse and the entire process is very weak. All the people here attending this conference should be aware of it and make sure that all their clients have their trademark registered in the trademark clearinghouse, because with that they are eligible to secure the domain names in the sunrise phase. Without that, without the registration, it's not possible. We are serving in the sunrise phase with a couple of services for the registries to facilitate that process. Later on, if the sunrise phase is over and the domain name and brand owner has not secured the domain name, then of course it can be either be free to be registered, that would be luck, or it's in the hand of someone else, and then of course it can be that we would be of help in terms of we find out who is owning it, and then we might be the one brokering and helping in the process of trading and making the deal so that the domain name is moving from one hand to the actual owner that wants to have it. But of course there's, as you mentioned it with Singapore Airlines, there's a couple of brands all over the world, and we are not able, and even not the Trademark Clearinghouse is able to look at all the countries in the world and see if there's some tiny little company that has filed a trademark somewhere at the far end of the world. So that's we're facilitating the process here, yes. And we are consulting actually companies as well. So what I told you right now is actually the standard, in addition to another couple of informations that we supply to companies what they should be doing.
Right. Finally, looking at the delegates behind you here, they usually deal in portfolios worth hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. I suspect you're at the other end of that scale. But is that amount increasing? Are people prepared to pay an increasing amount to secure the domain name that matches their brand?
Yes, they are. So basically we have seen a price increase over the couple of last years, and especially from last year to this year, .com increased in value, and other domain names, TLDs, increased in value as well.
By how much?
.com for a 30% year-over-year price increase. So we can see with that it's a kind of a trend that companies that have a brand, have a trademark, and not even that, just want to have a campaign up and running, are eager to pay a little more for the domain name because it pays off for them. We have had a company just recently that has purchased a new domain name in a 6-digit value, and it was, after 3 or 4 months, it was break even for them because they have shortened their TV campaign by just 1.5 seconds. And those 1.5 seconds time, the times of showing and airing the radio or TV spot in this case, is really value. So the cost benefit is really easy to calculate, and it's real. An additional value is, for example, if you want to be found in Google. If you have a campaign or product that needs to be showing up, if someone is searching for the respective keyword, the proper domain name is helping a lot to be listed way above other results. So it's not only about the content, of course, the content is king, but the domain name is contributing as one puzzle piece in the game. So that's again value, because otherwise you would have to pay an agency to make sure that you're listed further above in Google. Mm-hmm. So domain names, not only for the reason of intellectual property, but also for reach to customers, are very important.
Thanks for coming and explaining it today.
Thank you very much.
Tobias Flaitz from CEDO GmbH, visiting here in the IPBC Asia Conference in Tokyo, visiting us from Germany.